So the next thing I'm going to work on is probably just insetting these guys here. A lot of times when you're going to be planning on insetting things or doing stuff, a lot of it's planning, just trying to figure out the shapes around your insets before you start doing that stuff. So for me, I know that these guys have a top and a bottom kind of like metal rung that isn't going to be inset. So I'm going to set that up in my mesh here first. So I'm going to hit ring and connect. I'm just going to make myself a space of where I want that inset to happen. And I already kind of have that on the bottom section, because you don't want to just start, throwing your stuff in there and not really having a good plan of what's going to happen. So I need a space on the outside here, so I'm gonna, this is going to be the space that doesn't get touched. Do the same thing on this side. And one more time for the other ones. So I have that. Switch to my left viewport here. And scale this in. I want it to match. This is the shape I'm going to be extruding, so I want it to match whatever it's supposed to be there. To look anyways. And same for this one here. Alright, and then so this is kind of a dumb trick, but comes in handy sometimes. Now I want, I'm cutting up this edge here, so I have this edge that's on an angle here. I want to have another angle that's right beside it that's on the same angle. So if I click this guy here and I hit connect, and if I connect two of them, you'll see that as they get to the center, they're going to straighten out, right? Because it's trying to average between the center, which is straight, and these outside guys, which are at an angle. So if I just, oh shit, if I just move this here, it's on a different angle, right? It's kind of coming out here, but I want these two things to be parallel. So what I'm going to do is really dumb. I'm going to extend this to as far as it can go, which is really stupid, and I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to loop this thing, and now I can move this, and it's going to be the exact same angle. So then if I move it over, and I can watch down here as I move it. So I'm going to move it, let's say, 30 centimeters. And I can do that for this one. I'm moving the other one, so you got to make sure you click the right one. And then I'm going to go minus 30 centimeters here. And now I know that more or less these two are the same width and that they're parallel to each other. It's really dumb, but it's just another tool. Now that I've set up all these cuts in here, I could select these guys and extrude them inwards and then outline them to get the look that I want. So again, dumb trick kind of thing, but it does work. And I can do that on this side too, so I can do a connect, and then I can move it 30 centimeters. Now all these little divots and things I'm going to leave for floaters. I think the only thing I got left on this guy, I'd probably model out some of these things, whatever they are. And this middle part here, so I'm going to model that out. So this looks like it's a big cut in here. Let me think about that. So I could kind of do it the same way I did the other one. I just split these into two. And just assume that this is part of that, and this is like a hinge kind of thing or something. It kind of looks like it's carrying over. One part could be this, and the other part could be the other one. Yeah, let's do that. Right, before I do that, I'm just going to move these a little closer together. I'm going to detach them, not as a clone, not as an element, but just as a straight up different object. That way, get a little bit more freedom with what I want to do. Now, when you have a really big open space like this, like I've just deleted all these faces, and I want to kind of connect all these edges together, I'm going to go to my border, bless you, and I'm going to go to border, select all this, I'm just going to cap it, and it's going to look like a really stupid face. But again, because it's a big stupid open face, any of these things are connectable. So now I can select these guys and just use my connect shortcut to make the object that I want, and just clean it up nice and quick there. But that's the nice thing about connecting big open faces like that. As long as you know what you're going to do with them, it's okay to connect them like that, because again, one big open face doesn't mean anything to 3D Max. It's all about the edges and stuff. So as long as you're confident in what you're going to do with it, you're good to go. Maybe try and chamfer this, see how it goes. No, that looks stupid. I'll probably just leave that for mesh smooth. Maybe. Alright, so I might chamfer these guys. I want these round. sometimes you're going to want to chamfer stuff, and it's going to do really stupid stuff like this, where I want to chamfer these, but I kind of want to leave this straight. And sometimes it's just going to do really stupid stuff. And sometimes you're just going to be okay with it and know that you're going to clean it up. And that's okay too. So if I'm going to do that, that's fine. And I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to delete most of this shit because it's terrible. And I know which parts are supposed to be kind of connected together. So as long as I do that, it'll be okay. And I mean, obviously, I'm still going to have to go clean up all of this because it's really gross right now. But again, totally okay if you're willing to not freak out and clean it up. And if you smooth, it'll be fine. You just gotta trust yourself to know that sometimes screwing up your model is not a bad thing. Alright, so I gotta do the same thing on this end, just cap it. Oops. And just do some cleanup. Smooth these guys. Let's try that again. Much better. Sometimes you just got to remove edges that are going to cause you problems eventually. So here's another instance that you got to just kind of clean up for yourself before you do your work. Second here, I'm just going to undo this stuff. Alright, so I have this box. It's got a lot of edges. And I would like to chamfer all of these edges together. And if I do that right now, I'm going to get a really stupid triangle right in the corner here. And I don't want that triangle. I want this to be nice and crisp. So I could leave this as is and then just attach those things and try and work it out on my own. But I know what's causing the issue. When you try and chamfer stuff around a corner and you have edges coming towards a point from different sides, it's going to try and chamfer along those edges as well. So what I'm going to do before I chamfer this is I'm going to remove these two edges temporarily. Just before I do anything, just get those out of the way. And then I'm going to select the edges that I want to chamfer again. I'm going to do my chamfer, which is now nice and clean. It's a nice 45-degree angle in there. and then I just got to go through and tidy that up. And they're still quads, still nice and clean, but I just had to do a step before doing that stuff because sometimes Max just decides, you know what, I'm just going to throw some triangles in there and cause you some problems later on, and you're not going to want that. So sometimes you got to do some stupid work. Alright, now add some edges in here. I'll just flatten them out by scaling them. And just extrude that outline. Maybe not so much. Okay. So I got that thing, and I might just do this inset here. So it'll be a bunch of those, something like that. But I don't want to do that right on the edge, so again, cut, scale so it's nice and straight. And these guys I might just push in a little bit. And these guys I'm going to scale. Sometimes when you're trying to scale things to move them, you'll get this where your scale modifiers is not in the center, and it won't let you scale stuff. Up on the top here you can do, there's a little thing here called use pivot point center. By default it's this like longer box and a shorter box, which means it'll use the center bit of this edge and the center bit of this edge to scale them, so it's going to kind of do them one at a time. If I click and hold on this thing, there's one where it puts the little red dot right in between the two objects. What that means, it's going to center the pivot of the scale tool in the middle of them, and then it'll let me scale them together. But if I have it on this one, it's going to try and scale each of them on their own, and it won't work left to right. So you might have to use that sometimes. Okay, so that's kind of the shape that I want. This thing's actually still kind of long. Let's scale that in there. Connect some edges here. Scale them, make sure they're straight. Extrude that just a little bit, and outline. And then, oh, I see what they're doing there. Add another edge in here. Flatten that out, go to my top viewport. Make sure this is straight. Extrude just this part here. And outline again. And then maybe chamfer this guy a few times. And Yeah, maybe I should do these guys in here too. I don't really know what they are. But maybe they're like handles that you like clamp upwards to disengage some locks. So maybe I'll do those as well. Maybe I'll do those as floaters. That might be a fun floater to do later on. Yeah, let's do that. Cool, so that's it. Now I'm going to move on to my handles.